Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Welcome to the best new editions of board games hitting retail in September 2024. You're going to find three types of games in this video. There are just sort of new editions of older games, just straight sort of, hey, this is the same game and now there's a new edition of it, might have updated artwork or components, that sort of stuff. You're also going to find re-implementations of older games. You know, we took the same mechanisms, gave it a new theme, gave it a new setting, things like that. And you're going to find established games in a series of games, you know, where there's been a bunch of games in a series and now there's a new one coming out. So this is a huge month for new editions, honestly. This is probably the first month ever I've done this video where I can't include everything. There's just too many new editions coming to retail this month, and I'm not including all of them. I'm just including about 30 of the ones, because the video would be too long if I did more than that. So to all the games that didn't make this video, I'm sorry, okay? You're great. You're a great game, and people are gonna find you. I promise they're gonna find you. They're just not gonna find you through me. Okay, they're gonna find you in a different way. But for the meantime, here are 30 great games that are new editions coming to retail in September. Oh, by the way, have you watched my comedy special, Silly Mustache Man? Because you should, because it's a good comedy special. It's funny, and you're gonna enjoy it. And then there's information on how to find it in the description of this video. So please check out my new comedy special, Silly Mustache Man. Let's get into the games. First up this month, 25th Century Games is releasing Jekyll and Hyde vs. Scotland Yard. This re-implements the game Jekyll vs. Hyde. Jekyll vs. Hyde came out, 3 years ago, something like that, and it was great. It was a two-player only trick-taking game where one player played as Jekyll and one player played as Hyde, and you were moving this center marker piece back and forth, and if you were one side of the equation, you were trying to sort of have balance, and you wanted both sides to win the same amount of tricks. And if you were the other one, you wanted chaos. You wanted either to win a bunch more or less, or that sort of stuff. I really liked it as a two-player trick-taking game. Well, Jekyll and Hyde versus Scotland Yard is a cooperative trick-taking game. So it takes that sort of two-player system and makes it cooperative. So again, this is a two-player only game, plays in about 20 minutes, and it is a medium-weight game. Now, instead of fighting against each other, you are working together. It's almost like the crew set in the Jekyll and Hyde world. You are going to have to accomplish certain objectives. There's missions and things like that you're going to have to work together to accomplish that sort of trick-taking thing. But there's also a story element to the game. You have to, it's a story-based game in which you have to achieve the objectives of every chapter of the story to complete the game. So you'll be revealing some narrative as you go along, which sounds fun as well. So if you're in the market for a two-player game, or if you like trick-taking games, check out Jekyll and Hyde vs. Scotland Yard. AEG is releasing Cascadia Rolling Hills and Cascadia Rolling Rivers. These are roll and write versions of the great game Cascadia. They each play 1 to 4 players in about 30 minutes, and they're lighter weight games. They are standalone games, but they can be combined if you want to, and you can play 8 players. They differ in they have sort of different sheets, different maps, and they have different dice, and the dice will have slightly different benefits on it. So, it's a classic roll and write game where you are rolling some dice, marking off stuff on your sheet, and then, getting bonuses and benefits and points and stuff like that. And again, they each have their own unique environment sheets, but if you want to play all of them together, you just use one dice from one of the games. The dice can be sort of mixed and matched between the different sheets. And, The environment sheets can increase in complexity. So you'll have basic sheets and more complicated sheets to give the game more replayability and give it its own sort of special gameplay elements. There's also 30 unique habitat cards, 8 unique advanced completion cards. You're going to gain cards that have sort of patterns on them and that sort of stuff. So Cascadia is a wonderful game, and this is a nice roll and write version of it from AEG and Flat Out Games. So if you're a fan of Cascadia, then definitely check this out. Arcane Wonders is releasing Foundations of Metropolis. This is essentially the retail version of Foundations of Rome. Foundations of Rome, if you've never seen, is one of the largest boxes you will ever get, and it's got all these cool plastic molded buildings in it. Foundations of Rome is a game I love because it feels strategic and also simple at the same time. You are bidding for spots on the board, putting out, you're buying plots of land on the board, and then putting out your buildings, and different buildings are going to score you points in different ways and get you benefits in different ways. This is the exact same gameplay of Foundations of Rome, but instead of the big plastic buildings, you have polyomino tiles, cardboard tiles here. So, a much smaller box, a much lower price point, which is nice, but the same gameplay where you are bidding and buying spots on the board and then placing down buildings and getting your buildings in proximity to other things, generating population and money through your buildings, that sort of stuff. So, plays 2 to 4 players in about an hour, and it is a, lighter weight game, but on the higher end of lighter weight. So if you were always curious on Foundations of Rome, but you just didn't want to spend, $250 or whatever that box cost, this is a much cheaper version of the game. Same fun gameplay, just polyomino cardboard tiles now instead. Ares Games is releasing Phantom Fury 2nd Edition. This is a solo-only game, plays in about 2 hours, and it is a medium-weight game. You are leading a U.S. Marine Corps battalion as it clears the streets of Fallujah in the Second Battle of Fallujah, which was part of the Iraq War in 2004. So if you like war games or you want solo games, this is an option for you. This 2nd edition introduces more variability in the strengths of the insurgents that you face, a range of new optional rules, including insurgent direct fire and RPG attacks, and local population and civilian effects to account for. So you are moving through zones on the map, trying to, control and clear the different zones. And if you don't do that, if you don't control all the zones, by the end, you're going to lose the game. So you want to control all the zones as you move from street to street and avoid snipers and avoid all that sort of stuff. And hidden insurgent elements. It's pretty recent history, Battle of Fallujah. And so, you can play a game you might have already lived through, I definitely was alive when it happened, though obviously I wasn't there. But, if you were there, thanks for your service. All right. Asmodee is releasing Unlock 12 Supernatural Adventures. So there's been obviously a bunch of versions of Unlock. This is the 12th version. Plays 1 to 5 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. The Unlock series is a series of cooperative puzzle solving games. You are trying to figure out riddles, figure out puzzles in order to unlock mysteries and figure out the storyline and that sort of stuff. So almost all of the Unlock boxes, if not all of them, I can't remember right now, they include sort of 3 separate scenarios in them. And, they are sort of like one-time plays. Like, once you play through the scenario, you're going to know the solution. But, this one is... there are supernatural influences at play. So all of them have puzzles and stuff like that, but they all have different themes, and they don't repeat puzzles and stuff. So if you like supernatural stuff, the 3 separate scenarios are Threat over Nova City, Dia de los Muertos, and Ragnarok. So, Unlock, just as a note, does require an app to play. So if you're like, I hate apps in my games, then maybe Unlock isn't for you. But, there's still plenty of board game element physical components. It's not like the game just plays through the app. Asmodee is releasing Survive the Island. This is a reimplementation of the game Survive Escape from Atlantis. Plays 2 to 5 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a, lighter weight, maybe high end of lighter weight game. It is a cutthroat game where players seek to evacuate their adventurers from an island that is sinking. So there are a bunch of tiles out on the board, and literally tiles will be going away. You are trying to, you're trying to get your adventurers onto rafts and sail them out of there before they sink into the sea. So, in that way, it's a little bit like the game Atlantis Rising, but a simpler game, a quicker playtime, easier complexity, that sort of stuff. When you are on a raft, one of the interesting things is you can only sort of sail the raft if you control the raft. You need more of your meeples on the raft than any other player's meeples on the raft. So there's definitely like a race element to get onto rafts and stuff like that. You also you're gonna have multiple people. You have 10 different people, and all of them are valued 1 to 5. And the higher value you save, the more points you get at the end of the game, and you'll look at where you place them at the beginning of the game, but then you don't get to see them the rest of the game. So there is a bit of a memory element. Is that my 5 or is that my 1? I want to kill my 1 and save my 5. Asmodee and CMON are releasing Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. This is a standalone box. It's sort of, I don't know if you would call it a sequel or re-implementation or whatnot. So, Cthulhu Death May Die came out about 4 years ago. It is a cooperative, dungeon crawly type of game where you are playing through different scenarios, but one of the things I like is that the scenarios are standalone. They're not like, it's not a campaign game. You can jump in to any scenario with any group of players and that sort of stuff. So I should say Cthulhu Death May Die Fear of the Unknown plays 1 to 5 players in about 90 minutes, and it is a solidly medium weight game. This version is a standalone box that has upgraded rules, clearer rules for you, a lot of the same gameplay, but there are 6 new episodes, 6 new sort of challenges, and 2 new elder boxes. The elders are like the thing you're fighting against, the main bad guy. And so if you have played through all of the episodes, all the storylines, the scenarios of the original box, this has a bunch new content for you to play with 6 new episodes. And if you've never played Cthulhu Death May Die, this might be the reason to jump in, because it's a streamlined, upgraded rule book will help you get into the game easier. And if you like, Lovecraft themes, sort of, supernatural horror themes, then maybe you'll like this as well. Asmodee and Grail Games are releasing Millions of Dollars. This plays 3 to 9 players in about 25 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game. This is a negotiation game. There's not a ton of negotiation games out there, right? There's, Catan and Zuvanis is a real fun one, and Moonrakers is a great one, but I feel like there's not a ton of negotiation games, and this is a game of negotiation. It's also a game of bluffing, misleading, that leaves no room for randomness. You're going to choose your roles and form temporary alliances. So there's a lot of talking in the game, right? You are using negotiation, making deals with other people, making alliances, breaking alliances, stabbing people in the back, and you're trying to, do a heist and share some loot and stuff like that. This is the second edition of a game that came out a while ago. In this second edition, you will find all new art, an increase in player count, and much streamlined rules that reduce the complexity and heighten the table talk. So again, if you like negotiation, if you like social games, stuff like that, then Millions of Dollars might be one to check out. Board and Dice are releasing Side Quest: The Isle of Cats. They're starting to do this Side Quest series more. They did a Side Quest Frostpunk game last month or the month before. This is Side Quest: The Isle of Cats. They are puzzle games set in the world of the game that they are sort of imitating. So this is set in the world of the Isle of Cats. If you've never played the Isle of Cats, it's a really fun polyomino tile-laying game where you are trying to squeeze cats in a boat and save them from an island. And so in this, you have been to the island, and now you wake up in a locked cage in the hold of a ship, and there are other cats in there too. And so you're trying to solve puzzles, figure out riddles, all that sort of stuff. This is an escape room style game here, where you are testing your creativity, perceptiveness, and ability to think outside the box. You gotta solve the puzzles and escape the ship to save your own life and the life of a bunch of other cats stuck on this ship. So if you like escape room style games, or if you like the Isle of Cats, this plays 1 to 4 players in 60 to 90 minutes, and it is, like a medium weight game. So again, we got some good options for escape room style games this month for sure here. So if you're a fan of escape rooms, then check it out. Crafty Games is releasing a new version of Sardegna. This originally came out in 2005, so, it's an almost 20th anniversary version. Plays 2 to 4 players in 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. This is an area control game, but one of the things about this new version, it's a much smaller box. They have made it a fairly small box game. So if you want a game that feels like big strategy in a small box, then Sardegna might be a good one for you. You all have identical sets of characters, and then each of those characters controls a different type of piece, like a different wooden piece. And you're going to be putting them out on the board, and they're going to get you abilities and points in different ways. And so it's about using your characters effectively and at the right time to, get the most points and control the most area with their stuff. There's not a ton of area control games that work at the the 2-player count, and so this is one that does. So, and some replayability and exploring how the different characters combo well together and that sort of stuff, and when to deploy them, when to do stuff with them. So if you like sort of smaller box games that feel bigger in strategy than they are, then Sardegna might be for you. Flat River Games is releasing Colt Express Big Box. So if you are a fan of Colt Express, this is like all of the stuff in one box, in one place. So in this big box is the base game, the 2 expansions, Horses and Stagecoaches, and Marshals and Prisoners, and a new bandit, all in this box. If you don't know much about Colt Express, it's a great sort of welcoming family weight game where there are 3-dimensional train cars, and you are playing bandits bouncing around between train cars and stealing loot and trying to get the most sort of treasure from the train as you rob it. The Colt Express Big Box, 2 to 9 players in about 40 minutes, and it is sort of a medium weight game, but a lighter end of medium weight game. And so it does have the fun table presence and a lot of player interaction and stuff like that. So yeah, if you already have all of the stuff for Colt Express, just so you know, the bandit that is in this, the new bandit, is called Silk, and you can also get it just that bandit available online. If you're like, I already have all the stuff and I don't want this big box, you can just get this new bandit online as well. So if you're a fan of Colt Express, check out the big box. Flat River Games, in association with Dr. Finn's Games, is releasing The Feds. This re-implements the older game Gunrunners, plays 2 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game. This is another one of those sort of area control games that works for a smaller player count. You know, I feel like a lot of area control games, I don't really want to play with less than 4 players. There's just not enough sort of fighting for control. But this plays 2 to 4 players, and so it works at the lower player count. You are playing as FBI agents competing to break up criminal activity in the big city. So you are sending agents to different sort of location boards and trying to break up stuff there. But, you know, certain cards are moles and stuff like that. People can play a mole and you don't know what they're playing, where they're playing it, that sort of stuff. So there's some intrigue in the game, you know, you're going to deploy your agents to chosen locations, but if a mole is already at a location, that mole is revealed and is now a field agent. Sometimes when a mole is revealed, a special power will be performed by the player owning that mole. And there's special powers and things like that. There's a ton of different locations in the game. You play with like 4 of them. It might be dependent on player count, but you play with a few of these locations. But there's a ton in the box, so that's where a lot of the replayability comes as you fight for control of the different areas in the game. Fowers Games is releasing Paperback Deluxe. Paperback came out, you know, over a decade ago, I think. It is a cooperative, word-based, like spelling deck building game. You know, fairly unique, where you were sort of buying new letter cards to add to your decks and then using those letters to spell words and getting points and getting more money from spelling words to buy new letter cards. So if you're a fan of things like Scrabble or stuff like that, then Paperback might be for you. This deluxe edition includes 2 double-sided stitched playmats, chipboard genre tiles, metal book-shaped trackers, 8 foil novel covers, sleeves, and more stuff. So still maintains the same gameplay, the cooperative deck building, you know, spelling word letter game, but a bunch of fancy stuff for it. You know, if you like fancy stuff, then maybe this one is for you. Just so you know, Paperback plays 2 to 5 players in about 45 minutes, and it is sort of straddling that line between lightweight and medium weight game. And, you know, just having a bunch of fancy stuff for it. If you've been a big fan of Paperback in the past and you want it to look nicer, the playmats will certainly be nice, you know, because there's like a bunch of letters, you know, stacks of letters that are out there, but a playmat, it makes it all organized, right? Your cards aren't going to be going all over willy-nilly. They're going to be in proper spots. You know, that's nice. Gray Fox Games is releasing the game Reavers of Midgard, the card game. This plays 2 to 6 players, 45 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. You are playing as Viking lords traveling the seas, collecting glory, and negotiating their way to victory. So Reavers of Midgard is a game that came out a while ago that was a bigger box game, and this is, distilling the game more down to just the card game version of it. Each player is going to have a hand of cards that is identical, and those cards represent the locations you can travel to. And so it's one of those games where you're trying to think about what other people are going for, where they're going. You're playing a card, all revealing simultaneously, and then going to those locations. If you are there alone, you're going to get a bunch of benefits, right? You're going to get some coins. You're going to get a card that gives you resources and stuff. But if you go there and someone else is there, you have to negotiate how to split the resources that are there. You have to figure out amongst yourself how to split those stuff. But if you are unable to agree on how to split the resources there, the spoils will remain, and all the players there will suffer consequences. So, if you like negotiation games, or if you just want to screw some people over, maybe you're the type of person to go somewhere, you're trying to go where other people are, and you're not going to negotiate, you're just screwing over other people. It's a good way to lose, but it's also a good way to bring other people down. So, yeah, if you like Viking-themed games, if you like that sort of stuff, Grey Fox Games has a lot of great Viking-themed games, and Reavers of Midgard, the card game, is hopefully one of them. Hachette, in association with Sorry We Are French, is releasing In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. This is a new standalone game in the series that was started by In the Footsteps of Darwin. There's going to be a few of these In the Footsteps games. You know, I probably could have included this just in my best new board games coming to retail because, yeah, it's like a similar name to In the Footsteps of Darwin, but it really is a standalone game. So, you know, I don't know, sometimes there's not a hard and fast rule which game goes into and stuff. So I put it in this one, but then researching it, I felt maybe slightly bad about it. Plays 2 to 4 players in 20 to 30 minutes, and it is a lighter weight to medium weight game on the sort of edge of that sort of stuff. You know, In the Footsteps of Darwin was nominated for the Spiel des Jahres, the biggest award in board games, so you know it was a good game. This is similar in the sense that, like, it's about a famous scientist, right? Darwin was the first one. Marie Curie discovered radiation, and amongst other stuff, but you know, that's sort of the thing that she's most famous for, is figuring out radiation. And so in this game, you are doing resource management and sort of, you know, a little bit of engine building. You're going to drop cubes down a cube tower, and only some of those cubes are going to come out. The cube tower is designed to sort of capture some of the cubes and then maybe release them in future turns. And you're going to take these cubes that represent different resources, and one of the interesting things about the game is you can transform resources. Oh, I can turn this cube into 2 of these, or I need 2 of these to turn it into 1 of these. And so you're going to be doing sort of these transformation mechanics in the game, and to use your resources. And then, you know, you're going to progress on a central board through Marie Curie's life timeline. And you're trying to buy some sort of upgrades for your board, buy some engine buildy type of stuff. So, you know, I think Marie Curie might have been the first female ever to win the Nobel Prize. So that's cool too. You know, you get to learn a little bit about history and stuff as well by playing this game. So yeah, if you're looking for a game that's based on some real science, check out In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. And it's light enough for, you know, for it to work for family and that sort of stuff. Hachette is releasing the game Middle Ages. This re-implements the game Majesty for the Realm, and I've been playing Middle Ages a lot in my house because it's a great strategy game that plays in about 30 minutes, and I just love that wheelhouse of like cool decisions, interesting choices, plays pretty quickly. Plays 2 to 5 players in about in 30 minutes, and it is sort of the medium weight game, but on the lower end of medium weight game. I do a video every month on my top 5 games of the month, and Middle Ages made my top 5 for August. I really like this game a lot. Majesty for the Realm was a game somebody introduced me to at a convention once upon a time that I really liked. This makes it a bit of a bigger box because now instead of cards, you've got nice cardboard tiles. And from a production standpoint, one of the fun things that they did is all of the tiles kind of have their own unique puzzle pieces and fit together in a satisfying, puzzly way. But what you're going to do, you're going to be drafting tiles from a central area and then adding those tiles to your board. And all of the things are going to score you points in different ways and get you abilities in different ways. You know, if you take a farm tile, you're going to get points by the number of farmers you have in your realm. If you take a market tile, you're going to get points based on the number of sort of treasure chests you have. If you take this, you know, one thing is going to kill tiles from other people, and one tile you can get can raise one of your tiles from the dead. And so it's all just about sort of drafting tiles and building out your player area, your kingdom, in an efficient way. And that's one of the fun things about the puzzle of the game. We've played it a lot, and I feel like it's really replayable because every time you can kind of go down a different strategic path. You're going to focus on these tiles or these tiles and sort of figure out cool combos of them together. So again, I really like Middle Ages. It is worth checking out. Maki Master Games is releasing the game Parks Roll and Hike. This plays 1 to 4 players, 20 to 40 minutes, and it is sort of on that line of lightweight to medium weight game. Parks is a great game where you are sort of worker placement but along a pathway rather than just willy-nilly going anywhere. You're moving along a pathway, getting resources, and visiting national parks. So this is set in the same sort of universe where there is, you know, you're visiting different national parks and that sort of stuff. But in this one, you are rolling and drafting dice, and those dice are going to get you abilities in different ways. You're going to view wildlife. You are going to write stuff in your journal and fill out your journal pages. You're going to get water and fill your canteen and stuff like that. And all the different things that you do are going to get you points and combos in different ways. This is one I've played a lot with my roommates too in the recent time, and it's great. I really like it a lot. You know, it feels definitely different enough. Like there's new mechanisms in the game that are not in Parks, so it feels like a different game, but sort of feels inspired by Parks. So if you like nature theme, or if you like roll and write games, then you might like Parks Roll and Hike. Kids Table Board Games is releasing Maki Master. This re-implements the old game Wasabi, plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game. This adds new mechanisms, streamlined rules, and fresh art to the game Wasabi that came out in 2008. It is a sort of puzzly recipe fulfillment game. You are going to be adding these food tiles to this central board and matching pattern cards. And when you've matched a pattern that's on one of your scoring cards that is out on the central area, then you're going to score those. And you're also going to get little wasabi cubes, and wasabi cubes are going to be worth points and stuff like that at the end of the game as well. Cosmos is releasing Masters of Crime Shadows. This plays 1 to 6 players in a couple of hours or more, and it plays and it's like a lighter to medium weight game on the edge of that. So this Masters of Crime series is sort of like escape room type of games where you get to be the bad guys instead of the good guys. You know, in most escape room style games, you're trying to figure stuff out to escape or things like that. Well, in this one, you are trying to, you are getting to be the bad guys. So they had one that was where you were mafia bosses. In this one, you are master thieves, and you are trying to pull off a heist. You are working together to form a crew, steal a famous painting, and escape undetected. So if you like again, we have a number of examples this month, or options to do, the puzzle solving escape room type of games. This is another one of those. But in this one, you get to play as the bad guys instead of the good guys. It does note, I will note here, in addition to game material, the internet is also an important part of the game. You're going to need Google Maps, extra websites, clever online research to help with your adventures. So yeah, if you want sort of real world stuff in your game, then check out Masters of Crime Shadows. Looney Labs is releasing 100 Acre Wood Fluxx. There are a ton of versions of the card game Fluxx. It's a small card game, and the whole idea of the game Fluxx is that the rules of the game change while you're playing the game. You are going to be putting out new cards that change what the win condition is, what the hand limit is, that sort of stuff. So the rules are sort of always in flux, which is why it's called Fluxx. And, there is a ton of different sort of themes of the game. They all play similarly, but they all have unique cards with their own sort of unique abilities and rules and all that sort of stuff. And they're all based around different themes, There are some that are sort of not IP based, right? There's like Fluxx Math, and then there's like Fluxx Monty Python that is based on something So this is obviously based on Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin and the whole crew of 100 Acre Wood, I have to mention Tigger, right? I feel like Tigger's everybody's favorite. And so, yeah, again, same sort of card game that's sort of wild and fluctuating, but set in the 100 Acre Wood IP. Plays 2 to 6 players in 5 to 30 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game. That's one of the sort of fun and random things about the Fluxx series, is that literally a game can take 5 minutes or it could take 45 minutes because the end game condition, the winning condition, always changes. So sometimes you're like right there, you're about to win, and then it changes, and then you can't win. So yeah, it's fun and chaotic for sure. Mr. B Games is releasing a new version of the game Cafe. Cafe plays 1 to 4 players in 20 to 45 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. Cafe is one of those games that I think of when I think of like, small box, big strategy. Cafe feels like that. It's a fairly small box card game, but there's a lot of interesting choices and a lot of deep strategy to the game. You are going to be drafting cards, taking cards from a sort of market of 3 cards, and then adding them to your player area. And every time you add a card, you have to cover up parts of a card that are already on there. And then you're going to activate an action. And thematically, this is all about like roasting and coffee, selling coffee, making coffee, all that sort of stuff. But more like about the beans. So it's like, you can harvest beans with an action, and then you can dry the beans with an action, and then you can roast the beans with an action and stuff like that. So you are, and then distribute it around the world. And so, the way that you're putting down your stuff feels very puzzly with how you're laying your cards over others. You're creating greater areas of certain actions, you're covering up symbols you don't need anymore, that sort of stuff, and then activating different actions. So again, if you, and this one has been sort of out of print for a little while, so, I know people have been looking for it and haven't been able to find it that easily, so now it should be available more. If you want, if you're a fan of coffee, or if you want a sort of big strategy, small box game, Cafe is a good one to check out. Osprey Games is releasing Undaunted 2200 Callisto. This is set in their Undaunted series, but changes it quite significantly because every other game in the Undaunted series was set in World War II and sort of was real world sort of scenario. And this is obviously set in the future and it's set in space. So it's a science fiction version of Undaunted. If you don't know Undaunted, it is a deck-building war game, but, sort of feels like, it's not just like dudes on a map war game. You're building cards, you're building your deck, and It felt like some of the Undaunted ones were maybe a little bit lighter weight in the sort of war game category. This plays 1 to 4 players in 45 to 60 minutes, and it is a solidly medium weight game. It is a standalone game, so you don't have to have played any other Undaunted stuff. Maybe you don't like real-world war games. Well, now you have sort of a science fiction setting for it instead. There's also a couple of new things about the game, whereas, the deck building, same as all the Undaunted series, but now it adds elevation to the game. So if you are shooting up in elevation, you're going to get the weakest dice, whereas if you're shooting down, that's an advantage, so you get stronger dice to roll. There's also preset maps. There's boards here. You have 2 double-sided boards, so 4 sort of maps that you can play on instead of just sort of building the map each time. And so it comes with a few different scenarios because of that. I think there's 8 scenarios in the game, and you can play on different maps and that sort of stuff. You are playing across, you're navigating the barren lunar landscape, maneuvering to seize dominant high ground positions, and utilizing your formidable mechs to gain control of Callisto and its precious resources. So, if you like deck building, if you want a science fiction setting, if you like the idea of high ground, all those are reasons to check out Undaunted 2200 Callisto. Pegasus Spiele is releasing a new version of the game Bomb Squad. This is called Bomb Busters. Plays 2 to 5 players in 30 minutes, and it is straddling that lightweight to medium weight game. This is a cooperative deduction game. So if you like cooperative games, if you like deduction games, you all have a series of wires in a sort of player stand, and nobody can see what wires that you have. But you are trying to play all of your wires and only have your red wires left at the end, and then you can get rid of them. If you cut the red wire at any point throughout the game, everybody loses. And so you are trying to deduce what wires people have in their hands, and you're like, that's a 1 right there, and they're like, yes it is, and then they get to play their 1 wire down, and you play your 1 wire down, and so you're getting rid of your wires in that way, trying to narrow it down to just the red wires and not cut those red wires until the end of the game. There are 66 missions in the game, so 66 different ways to play depending on your moods, 66 challenges to play over and over. There's a ton of different, there's a lot of replayability in that way. And you have your wires are numbered 1 through 12, and can you deduce who has which wires? And don't cut the yellow wires too early. Don't cut the red wires too early. So, if you like cooperative deduction, then check out Bomb Busters. Renegade Game Studios is releasing Robo Rally 30th Anniversary Edition. Congrats, Robo Rally, making it to 30 years old, You're like almost middle-aged now. Plays 2 to 8 players, 45 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, maybe a little bit lighter medium weight. Robo Rally is a competitive robot racing game where you are programming your robots with cards to move around the sort of race course. And the race course has obstacles and jumps and cool, stuff like that. You can attach upgrades to your robots, it's just racing around a course, and there's a bunch of different maps and stuff like that for Robo Rally. This 30th Anniversary Edition features 8 pre-painted robots, 4 new double-sided game boards, wooden tokens, a metal priority token, and dual-layered player boards. Ooh, brush your shoulders off there, Robo Rally. You got fancy. You got an upgrade, Robo Rally. So if you want all fancy stuff, dual-playered boards and pre-painted robots and things like that for Robo Rally, check out this new 30th Anniversary Edition. Renegade Game Studios is also releasing a new edition of Nexus Ops. This is actually the 3rd edition of Nexus Ops. It plays 2 to 4 players in 60 to 90 minutes, and it is sort of on that edge of lightweight to medium weight game. In Nexus Ops, there is sort of a modular board of tiles, and you have a team of different characters, and you will be deploying them out on tiles, sort of mining resources from tiles, but then moving on to the same tiles as other people's characters, and then fighting other characters out there. So you wanna take over the board. This version, how is it different than other versions? There's updated illustrations and graphic design in the game. There is a molded plastic 3D monolith that goes right in the center of the board and sort of gives it some nice table presence. And this also includes team play and variant rules from the Fantasy Flight version. So, you're going to be carrying out missions as you're moving around and mining stuff as well. One of the cool things, too, is all of the sort of minis are blacklight minis. So if you have a blacklight, you can put it on and they glow. All the miniatures glow in it. So that's pretty fun. And, with the modular board and stuff like that, it has some replayability because there's different setups and stuff like that. And combat, have some combat. Fight for control of the moon's rubium. Renegade Game Studios is also releasing The Search for UAPs. This is set in the Search For series. There was The Search for Planet X, and then The Search for Lost Species, and now we have The Search for UAPs. This plays 1 to 5 players in about an hour, and it's a medium weight game, but it is the most complex in the series, most likely. According to most people, this feels like the most complex game in the series. This is a real deduction style game. You are going to be getting information, marking stuff down on your own player area, and trying to deduce different things in the game. In this, thematically, they're all a little bit different. You are scanning the skies to deduce the location of satellites, meteor showers, and UAPs, which is sort of our new term for aliens. You're looking for aliens out there, but you're UAPs because you're scientific, Aliens is for kooks. UAPs are for people that, own fancy telescopes and stuff like that. One of the cool things is the board and stuff will literally rotate. Things will rotate, so then you'll get new information and asking different questions, using satellites in various different ways, and the sort of rotating orbits result in continually changing placement and adjacency. So you want to be adjacent to different parts to get different information and stuff like that. So again, if you like deduction games, these are very popular and some of the best in sort of the world of deduction. So check out The Search for UAPs. Smirk and Dagger is releasing Boop the Halls. This is re-implementing the game Boop and making a holiday version, but it's not just re-implementing it to a holiday version. There's some new mechanisms in this as well. If you haven't played Boop, it's a great 2-player only game where you are putting cats on a bed, trying to boop cats off of the bed, and ultimately trying to get 3 of your cats in a row. That's how you win. I should say Boop the Halls plays 2 players in about 30 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game. This one adds a new pathway to victory. So we had Boop, which was just get your 3 cats in a row. Then there was the Boop, which was the Halloween version, which added a new mechanism of a ghost cat, but still had just that one way to win. Well, this one, Boop the Halls, now there's a 3-dimensionality to the board. There are layers on the board, so it kind of looks like a Christmas tree. That's the idea, where there are layers to it. So you can win the traditional way, where you are trying to get 3 of your cats in a row, but you can also win by knocking opponents' ornaments off of the tree. Cats love hitting ornaments off of Christmas trees. It's like one of their biggest pastimes. You can see it all the time. It's annoying. You can't hang anything low if you got a cat. You got to all your ornaments all start at like halfway up the tree. But in this one, so if you can win by, getting 3 of your cats in a row, or by knocking 3 ornaments off of the tree that are controlled by your opponent. So I like that there's multiple paths to victory. There's maybe even more table presence in this one with the sort of 3-dimensional tree at the center of the game, stuff like that. So if you like 2-player games that, sort of feel abstract but with a theme on top of it, then check out any of the Boop games, and specifically Boop the Halls right now. Stonemaier Games is releasing Rolling Realms Redux. This plays 1 to 6 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. Rolling Realms came out a little while ago, and it's a roll and write game, but it's kind of a little bit of an inside baseball type of game. Every card, every realm represents a different popular board game, and all of them are going to score you points in different ways and play a little bit differently, and all of the ways that each of the cards, each of the realms play is inspired by the actual board game. And so you might be doing different things and crossing off stuff in your player area on your own sheet in different ways based on the different realms that are in the game. So this is a standalone game, this Rolling Realms Redux. You don't have to have played the original Rolling Realms to play this, but this adds 12 new realms to the game. So if you've played through all the realms in the original, you can play a bunch of new realms in this. Just so you know, too, it features the same rules and full compatibility with its predecessor, so you can mix and match the realms and stuff like that if you want to. And also, this is a box designed to fit everything. So you can put all the components, all the realms from the original game into this box if you buy this one. You don't have to. You don't have to have both at all. But, there is an opportunity to sort of put everything together here and just have a bunch of different realms to play through. If you're a big board game nerd, which you probably are since you're watching this video, then, Rolling Realms feels kind of fun because you're like, ooh, I know that game. That's fun. Oh, I see how they sort of adopted the mechanisms for this roll and write. Ooh, that's fun to see how they did it there, with all games that you kind of know and love already. Wise Wizard Games is releasing Star Realms Academy. This is a 2-player only game, plays in 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. The whole idea of Star Realms Academy is it's re-implementing Star Realms and making it simpler, less complex, more appropriate for kids and families and that sort of stuff. They actually say it plays ages 7 and up now. So it is, Star Realms is a sort of classic deck building game. You are buying cards from a market, making your deck stronger, and, fighting your opponent and trying to win the game. Well, in this one, because it is a simplified version it's the same deck building game, but now there's less math, there's no reading at all on cards, that sort of stuff, so makes it more appropriate for kids and families. So if you have something you want to play, if you want to introduce your kids to deck building or something like that, then Star Realms Academy is a good way to do that. So there we go. That's what I got for you. Those were 30 new additions hitting retail in the month of September. It's a lot. There's a lot of games right now. I mean, August and September always kind of feel like the biggest months because of Gen Con being in at the beginning of August. But I hope you found something that you liked here because there was a lot in it. If you want to support the series, you're always welcome to check out my Patreon, patreon.com/GrantsGameRex. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, all that great stuff. I hope to play some games with you soon. All right, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.